beautiful people. So the last time I was on here, the production was dark. So I was like, let me get as much light as I can. So um, this time you guys can see me, and that's not the issue. So I keep looking back and forth. I'm gonna look straight at the camera. So today she was found. Well, I got a phone call that she was found. So I guess it happened over the weekend. Um, and I feel I'm happy, but I'm still sad because who knows what else trauma she's putting on herself. So I just feel even more conflicted. But then I'm happy in my spirit that she is found. So with that being said, I'll start by saying I will give thanks with all my heart. And then also, I have learned to be content in whatever the circumstances. So I always try to keep myself, because now that I'm doing this, like, well, even though I think it's second nature, but like it's a now a ritual or like, I mean, spiritual hygiene to always clear my space and keep myself covered and armored up and things of that nature. But the main reason why um, I did wanted to come back, because I did say I was gonna do story time. Um, Hopefully, I get to get more because I know it's probably looking boring with just the dream catcher and stuff like that. Whatever. But anyway, guys, basically, story time was to talk about my daughter and how all of these unfortunate events transpired. So I wanted to, I had to think about it first as I was like, okay, are you exploiting her? Because when I was talking in my first video, I wanted to start a podcast with mental health, and we were supposed to do it together, and we were going to talk about her journey of her mental health and her getting herself together, and to inspire other young children that may be having something similar to what she was experiencing, right? And then also for myself, um, kind of therapy for me if I met, well, or interacted, or if anybody did make comments on the channel, so I could feel some normalcy with myself on trying to figure out like how can I cope as well with everyday life and trying to have work life balance, because it was hard, calling off, having tardiness, absenteeism, this bad uh, barriers to my employment, things that just makes your resume look like a lot of gaps in my employment history, things of that nature. But anyhow, getting back to her. So basically, with my transition of homelessness, because I don't know if I did bring that up when I first started the videos, but I did have a lot of homeless journeys since I was a kid. Actually, I want to say it started when I was 14. My mom put me out, and then it went from there. But I was trying to break the cycles with my daughter, and I never wanted to end up like this. This is my second time telling her that, she can't come back in the house because of the sporadic behavior of her having an episode, of her being combative with her siblings and things of that nature. So it comes from uh, um, a lot of decisions, because from my background, my culture, my heritage, those parents that I come from, they would have been like, oh, she's out of here. There's no way she's staying in the house and she's doing what she's doing. So I did, uh, at first, didn't say much, because I didn't, when I got arrested the first time, even trying to discipline her, or even where they said I threatened her, because I come from old school, like old school. I done heard many times. I even in shows and cartoon stuff like that where they say, "Oh, I'm gonna kill you," but nobody literally mean that they're gonna kill their child. Or I mean, if that's the case, we could have got our parents, and I'm almost 50, so our parents that probably were born 30s, 40s, 50s, or what have you. They said things. Oh, I'll send you back to Jamaica and all this stuff. And I just noticed that as time went along, we have gotten a little soft. A lot of people are always offended about things, but I can understand in this day and age, I guess it is taboo, and it is kind of like I'll, raise an eyebrow, like, oh my gosh, yes, you're gonna kill a kid. So it wasn't, the best choice. So I made a poor decision for my verbiage. But at the end of the day, I didn't mean to, literally gonna kill the kid. So anyway, they use that against me. They're still using it against me. I don't trust them. And so, like I was saying in my last video, that they asked my oldest daughter to be adopt her. And so now that she's picked up and some other details, because since I'm still on the case and don't discuss the case, and then I have a couple court dates that's coming up, so watch what I say because I might get in trouble. And that's the main reason too why I started doing these recordings, because you never know what's gonna happen. Like, I already been arrested, already got something on my record, then now this with this charge, that's another thing on my record. So especially with my background, like I was saying from before, when you have medical assistants or lab clinicals and EKG, phlebotomy certificates, things like that, you're not going to be able to work in that field when they feel like you are a violent person. So like, I can't work with children or seniors until this is called a gross misdemeanor, and then I gotta get it expunged, and it been on my record for like, so I got the charge 2022, and then so it's 7 years gross misdemeanor, and then also because my ding dong self picks up trying to scare her with the anyway, that's TMI, but yeah. I thought I was gonna scare the girl. She was trying to jump off a patio. What are you doing? Listen, like, nobody have time for that. And so, like I said, the arresting officer, she was nasty. I had, like I said, I had oil in my hair. She had gloves on. She still rubs the oil on me. Very nasty. Um, Officer, yo, let me tell you something. The disgustingness that I dealt with female officers from New York to Vegas, it's like, I don't know, they just nasty people, even going in the system. I have another story time about that. But anyway, and I'm not ashamed. I'm not coming on here. So for people to be like, here, you exploiting yourself. What do you think the outcome is going to be? You're putting your business out there. What you think the outcome is going to be? It's just awareness. Because at this point, if I'm not trying to help people that look like me in my community with the mistakes I make, or to highlight dysfunctional families and systems that keep us broken down, things like that. I mean, what am I here for? I'm here to spread awareness. Also, I'm going through my own journey with spirituality, learning things that I had to unlearn, becoming a better woman, becoming somebody that makes better choices. Even though I wish it wasn't such a late time in my life, because I'm almost 50 years old. But hey, we live and we learn, and we get better with time. We know better, we do better, right? So that's all I could really say at this point. And so I really just wanted to like showcase, especially on this platform, because I have other platforms, but it's a lot of like random, and it's kind of more for play, more for my inner child healing. So I have different platforms for different parts of my life to kind of calm the storm, because when you're healing, it's so many different sides of yourself. You have the dark, and then you're seeking your light through your dark, and you're going through your shadow, that you're still reflecting on negative things. It still triggers. So the shadow is the trauma, the grief, the loss of the person you once knew, what you're transforming into now. So, I don't always have this knowledge. I went to therapy. How I learned to forgive the people in my past. I've had a domestic violence past. Um, you know, I've learned to forgive those people because they had situations growing up that shaped their character as an adult. So I see things differently now in life when it comes to healing, um, different aspects on trauma and trauma bond and the Stockholm syndrome and imposter syndrome. And so that's why I was so adamant on making sure that me and my daughter had a good rapport, trying to build a relationship, because I did let her know about things that happened with my mom, and when my mom put me out, and why I questioned my mom, and why she told me to leave her home because I questioned my mom. But see, our dynamic is much more different than when I had the situation with my mother, because my mom, she's from and I don't know if I said that before. She's from Guyana, so South America. There's, well, I don't want to say for all, because it is Spanish speaking, and we have Portuguese, and different dialects. There's like, I think, 6 or 7 different races in Guyana, and it's surrounded Brazil, Venezuela, Colombia, all those different countries. So anyhow, she's coming from where there's no nonsense. You don't talk back. You don't question your parents. You don't. It's like whatever they say. That's it. That's all. There's nothing. So with me being a parent, I was more I would compromise with my daughter. I would ask her, is she's okay? What's hurting her? And so leading up to the last time that I seen her, and when I told her she couldn't come back home, and when I got all these cases and everything, was the simple fact that she she crossed boundaries that I never thought she would ever. We said things, she's made jokes, she's used profanity in front of me, and things like that. So, sometimes I'll be like, hey, watch your mouth or whatever. But this time it was like extreme. Like, okay, she really, really, really went below the belt, and it was just like, there was no coming back. It was like, there was no way to redeem at that particular time. I know over time I'll probably get over it, but at this particular time, it's just not the time. And so I made that rash decision to tell her that you can't come. So she called the cops on me, and then it went from there. But anyhow, with my relationship, why I wanted to make sure that I have a strong relationship with my daughters is because me and my mom, we don't get along. We're better when we're apart, but I still love her. But it's just that her beliefs and the way she was, because I remember her putting me out, and she walked past me in like the neighborhood, and everybody was like, wow, that's your mom's. Like, that was, I don't know what kind of love was that, or tough love, or I just never, it was cold. So I don't know how to register. Still, sometimes I don't know how to register as an older person, but I don't blame her, because she had her different upbringing, and she had her own vices, and she had her own things, as a woman, trying to deal with that's, being a single mother, I want to say. So when with me and my daughters, I really, really just wanted to make sure that they have a safe haven, and they could always talk to me, even though I may be uncomfortable about what they're gonna talk to me about. It was just a simple fact that I wanted to not ever be the villain. Like, even though where they say you're not supposed to make your child your friend, but I really didn't want my daughters to hate me to the point where they were like, yo, ma, I don't want to talk to you. You disgust me when we start talking. But like with my baby girl that I'm having a problem with, she's the one that feels I can't communicate. But that's not the case. I just feel like this young lady does not want to hear what I have to say, and so she just wants to tell me what she feels, and that's it. And it's like, okay, I'm gonna tell you about yourself, and that's it. No, I know my faults. My faults is I should have never befriended her. I should have never um, let her talk to me in a certain tone, let her use certain words, let her express herself in certain aspects. Like knowing that she smokes, she would go get a vape, she'll smoke the vape in front of me, things like that. You know what I mean? And then, so me, where here comes my ignorance, and how would I say befriending her and not nipping it in the bud, and not, um, excuse me, not making sure that I made the correct decisions was when she felt like I was one of her homegirls. So one day she slipped and was like, "Yeah, B," and I'm like, "Oh no, we." I don't know what happened, but no, we can't never be no yeah. No, we not homies. We not homegirls. You can't call me no B, and that's it. Whatever. Like no, we're not cool like that. So I had to really really like start to put up boundaries. Once I started that, I started seeing a separation from her, not being as open, not being as expressive, being more. She started to become more isolated. Started to write more. I would see like little things she would write about me and things like that. But the whole thing was that when I was going through my transition, I ended up homeless. And when we first got to Vegas, when I left Brooklyn in 2016, I got to Vegas. I got robbed and I lost all my things. And I had to start from scratch. And then I met a young lady that had introduced me to her sister. And then that's how I ended up getting a room. All four of us stayed in the room, and then until I could figure out how I was gonna get my documents back. Why I be saying sometimes I feel like my parents don't like me is because a lot of times when I do get in situations, there's always ridicule. It's never like find a solution to the problem. So I just started to get to the point where I'm just like I'm on my own, and which is fine because I don't want it to be like okay, yeah, you have to adult regardless. But it was just more like if I don't have the support, I might as well just go on my own, and that's why I was able to just leave the state, and just try different places, and try to see if I could get more bang for my buck, so I don't have to deal with being homeless. And that's how I end up leaving because New York is expensive. Like who are we kidding or whatever? And I'm not, just to stay on assistance and being a welfare recipient and trying to get housing and all this stuff. I was filling out for projects. Well, I never was able to. Most of the time I did is if I went to the shelter, I would get like a work advantage voucher and they would help pay my rent. And I end up getting so much bad uh, history with that because I end up owing because I got evicted and all these things like that. And especially when especially when you don't know, you don't have financial literacy. So that was the issue. And so, like, I never knew how to properly make a budget. And it just seemed like every time I got in situations, CPS, ACS, something always followed me. It was like a bad omen on my single motherhood. And so, anyway, as I was saying, I let her go to Brooklyn with her family while me and my oldest daughters, we stayed in the car while we were figuring out where we were going to live. And so in Vegas, you have to wait like for a bed. So it's not like you could just like in New York, you can go to the Department of Health Homeless and you get a placement. You stay in there for like 24 hours. They find you a placement. I don't know how it is now, but this was like when I was out there way way back, like around 2000, probably like 2004 to like 2008, 9, around that time. So I let her go with her father because I was like, okay, this probably would be, excuse me, let me get some water. This would be good for you to be with your dad because I have to figure it out and you need discipline because she was giving me a hard time too. At the time, she was like doing stuff, tilling, stealing off the teacher's desk and things like that, whatever. She was a little bad, you know. And so I just felt like maybe she needs some male, you know, her father figure. She needed discipline from her dad and things like that. Excuse me. So when that transpired, I figured like that would be the best decision because I know the baby wouldn't have been able to deal with being in the car and it's hot and you know, I know she would have been more aggy. So I called her grandmother and I asked them if they wanna, you know, if they could take her for me. Um at the time they didn't know a lot because I didn't tell everybody I was living in my car. So it was kind of bad on that aspect. So um when I let her go, I got a document which was like a temporary custody notarized statement where it says 6 months. She'll be staying with them for 6 months, and I signed my name to it. It got notarized, and then I put the mother's name and the father's name wasn't even on there, if I'm not mistaken. Anyhow, come to find out, they end up letting her go in a shelter with this guy with no um, permission because he never signed paternity. You know, God bless the dead because he's deceased. So I don't want to say too much, and then the family coming for me or whatever, in case whoever see this video, because you know, videos have a thing. You know, it can keep on going. It could stop and cease, but it can come back up later. So in case anybody sees it, I don't want nobody feel like I'm defaming this guy's character. But anyhow, she went there. She stayed with him. She was calling me. She said, "Mom, this guy is doing X, Y, Z to her. She's witnessing this. She's witnessing that." So I don't want to say too much allegedly because, basically, like I said, he abused me. So I'll talk about me, but same things that I experienced, he did to his daughter, and you know that was very devastating and I didn't know how to react, so I had to figure out thinking quick. Like I gotta get my daughter, you know, I gotta get her out of harm's way. I gotta get her away from these people, um, ASAP. You know, like think about. So basically, all the things that happened to her before me going to get her, because you know she went on the plane by herself. I want to get emotional because when I'm thinking about it, I sent my baby on a plane with it's called with a show like an accompanying minor. So I got her in a escort like or what I don't know what you call it, a chaperone. Sorry. So that's what happened, and she stayed for about a year and a half, almost 2 years. And in that time, she was going through it with this guy, with her father. He was, you know, going through so many different places, had her panhandling on the subway and all kinds of stuff for money or whatever. She got money from her grandparents. He would take the money for himself. He had a lot of issues with substance abuse, things like that. Anyway, so speeding up now from her coming back home with me, and then I'm still going through my transition because at this time when we came back, we had just got out of a single. Suite. With single suites is like these, what you call, like, you would call, like, what do they call, Motel 6, like a kitchenette kind of situation where you could cook inside the room and everything. You got you got a bathroom, you got the bedroom, and then you have the little kitchen area, living room area. Yeah. So anyway, we was in one of those situations, and you pay like weekly. Then it was another situation where after we left because we couldn't afford it and we was trying to figure out what we was gonna do, we still had the car. So the baby came back. She didn't know we didn't have a home, so we were staying at the Mission, Las Vegas Rescue Mission. And so the Las Vegas Rescue Mission, we stayed there for about a year or so. No, was it almost a year? I think it's probably less than that, but there's so much happened. I don't know, so don't quote me, but on the time stamp. Anyhow, so when we were in the Mission, we got with the Hope Link. Hope Link was this place that ended up I was showing on some. I had a video that I have post where they gave me recognition. They put me in a book, and everything, and then it was up from there. It was nice because I got recognition, and they honored me and everything, which was so cool. And I was in the newspaper. So anyhow, moving forward from there, she just came back like a little monster. And then, I always say that. And then, like, the lawyer used it against me, like, oh, she's a monster. Because I guess there's so much people quoting me, like the Embracing Project counselor, because I said she's acting like a monster. So everything that I say is being used against me. And that's why I'm recording these things, because you never know what can happen. And I'm a black woman and living in America, so we never know at this point. So anyway, I'm telling my story, and I ain't gonna leave nothing out, because I have no problem with accountability. I have no problem with being the bad guy or the villain, or however people want to put me in a story. However you want to fit me in your story, that's on you. I know what I did, and so, like, people like to say it's his, her, and hers, her side, his side, and the truth is there's three sides to the story. That's what they say, right? Anyhow, but I like to have receipts, so a lot of my stuff, I always told her too, if you wanted to speak your truth and talk about me later on in life, go ahead. Because if I have to be the bad guy in your story, then oh well. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna sit here and sacrifice so much. And when I say sacrifice, like relationships and stuff like that. Like sometimes, and I don't want to even say it because that's gonna be another situation where you're like, oh, you worry about having a relationship with a man and not having a relationship with your children, but just dealing with just not being with anybody, because sometimes you're worrying about predators, you're worrying about guys coming in your house, and you're not sure if they want you or they want your daughter. You feel me? He might not want the fowl. He want the spring chicken. You feel what I'm saying? We live in today's 2026, so I ain't gonna I'm gonna watch what I'm trying to say, but you already know what I'm saying. So anyway, I just figured like I have to worry about that, and that was like I said, fuck it, I'm just excuse me, yikes, F it, I'm just gonna be single, and I'm not gonna deal with nobody because I have girls and I want them to feel comfortable. And so I made bad decisions along the way. And so it is what it is. You try to have relationships. I just didn't want to have Tom, Dick, and Harry up in my face. And I try to make it with certain guys. But, not knowing the right examples, not having a good father figure, things like that, it kind of make you not the best person to kind of choose the right partner for yourself, because you don't know what to choose. You don't know what to look for. Anyway, so when she came back, it was just like a lot. She was acting up. She didn't want to go to school. She was challenging adults. She was challenging authority figures. She would bite the EMT when we had to call the ambulance. Like, I've been through a lot, so I had a lot. I've been under the microscope with a lot of ridicule, condescending adults, people looking at me, talking down to me, telling me how to parent, all this kind of stuff. So, um, it was just a lot on my spirit. So I got broken down. I got weak. I got became a punk. I did because I was just so defeated on what to do, how to do it, and just trying to figure out like now these people are always on me. I can't really discipline her like I wanted to. It was just so much on me. So I don't want to go up too far as it's already half an hour, so I'll do part two tomorrow. But I really just wanted to like give a good um, summary and not too much of a condensed version, so I kind of like would leave you to misinterpret or try to decode what I'm saying, because even though where people are like, oh, you don't lie, you don't this, you don't that, or I could just hear it. And that's another thing where I was saying with my spiritual journey, I'm starting to hear things randomly, music, just certain things, and I'm just like, wow, like I guess that's part of my gifts now. But it's getting more loud, as time go along. But anyway, yeah, so that was part one of explaining how this young lady got to this point, how we got to this point where I told her not to come back, how the DFS and CPS is now on, I mean, involved, and how my oldest daughter might be the adoptive, foster parent. Not to laugh. I have to laugh from crying, guys. So I hope that's not misconstrued neither, because there's so many judges out here. Trial and tribulations. I'm telling you. I'm always on trial. Even with strangers. People don't see, they hear me, I've been through it. I'm ready for it, and I guess that's what God is shaping me for. Because let me tell you, I'm getting like an armadillo back. Like it's like nothing could go through it. It's nothing like It's getting tough, tough, tough. Like titanium, vibranium. Like it's certain things that don't bother me no more. And so but that being said, I'm going to just go ahead and end that there. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for looking at my shorts. Thank you for viewing. I've seen a couple of views on my videos. Thank you so much. You don't know me from a can of paint. I don't know you guys neither, but I'm Diane. This is my platform. This is Goddess Naklaban, Triple AI. I do shorts with visuals. I have the mix of things with prayers, motivational messages, a little bit of education, but everything is coming from a pure heart. Nothing here is rehearsed or scripted, or just me coming and trying to figure out what's my calling, my purpose and mission in life. However it goes, the wind blows, you never know. So, and I'll just go ahead and say have a good night. Right now it's 11:05. It's kind of late, so whoever sees this video, whoever views it, thank you so much. I wish you and your loved ones peace, love, and light, abundance, and gratitude. With my grace, gratitude, and glow, the 3 Gs for the goddess energy. Thank you so much. Blessings.